Okay. Um, you guys haven't seen Diego's face in a minute. You've probably seen mine from the football episodes, but welcome back, guys. It's been a minute. I've been fresh off a family wedding past week. Um, Diego's been kicking it. How are
Chilling.
you doing, Diego?
I'm chilling. Enjoying, sadly, August, the Sunday of summer. Uh, Doing pretty good. Been outside a good amount, playing some ball, indoors and out. So we're getting there. I'm playing with an ankle brace, so it's not too bad, but it's definitely not as it was. So hopefully I'm like I'm like 95%. So I'm trying to get to 100 slowly but
Hey,
surely.
hey, that all that matters, guys. That's amazing. Diego's like almost completely healed.
Yeah,
I know how much he's been chopping at the bit to play more ball. I've
yeah,
actually just got out of my company's like basketball tournament today. We went 3-2 overall. Two losses we had were no bars because they're both ending on threes because the way they do it is like ones and twos up to 11, and like
mm,
it's not make it take it, so it switches every time.
I
Um,
see.
and it's on a 15-minute running clock pretty much. One free throw if you drain fouls and stuff. And just the way we lost, I think, was more upsetting more than anything.
Yeah.
Couldn't I didn't hit any of my threes today, and I
Oh,
don't think our entire team hit any threes at all throughout
ah,
those 5 games. And
that
those
hurt.
really matter in a ones and twos up to
Yeah,
11 situation.
yeah.
So it sucked. 100% it
Uh,
sucked. Um, but threes are fun. Um, I'm just hoping. Yeah, I'm gonna think about this one when I lay in bed. Even though there's no stakes to this at all, I just
yeah,
enjoy playing basketball that much. I hate losing, so yeah, gonna be thinking about this for a while. We got some fun stuff for you guys today.
I do.
We're doing a top 25 list. So Diego and I actually came up with um, our own versions of top 25 players and why we think they are where they are. Um, it's a lot. It's going to be a 3-hour episode if we try to go through all 25 at the
Yeah.
same time. So Diego's got his list. I got my list. We're doing 25 to 21 today.
Mhm.
5 players. And I don't know about you, Diego, but this was really difficult for me to make. Um, like I left a lot of guys off that I was just like, how could I do that? So, for example, once again,
Yeah.
another NBA champion, Drew Holiday's not on my list.
Oh, I
Derek
kinda forgot
White's
about him.
not on my list.
Mm.
Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, as tempting as they were, they aren't on my list. Brandon Ingram is not on my list.
Brandon Ingram's
So,
fine.
you like,
Uh,
I'm just talking about guys in trade talks and whatnot. And it was a very difficult list for me to make
mm,
because I feel like the way the NBA is headed is very star powered heavy, and it's just impossible to try and categorize it. And then I keep talking about this guy's a top 5 talent, this guy's a top 10 talent. But when I actually came down to put the list together, I was just like, I can't believe I'm ranking players like in the 10 to 15 range that I am.
yeah.
And it just shows like a different league at this point.
Yeah. I guess one question, like you were saying some of your guys, and I was like, "Ooh, like my list is slightly different," but uh, I have right here like my criteria. Um, so I'll say mine, then I'll ask you yours. But mine was just obviously number one player is the best. Like I'm ranking this based off who I'd want to be the best player on my championship team. So uh, I don't know. What were you doing, or like were you just going talent or whatnot?
I
Just
go
that
talent.
kind
I typically go
yeah.
talent, and then what the guy does right as far as like how the game should be played.
Mhm.
And like basically, I like players that don't try to do too much with the ball, but are effective with it. And it's
Yeah.
kind of a hypocrite because like Derek White and Drew Holiday are not on there, and they're prime examples of guys who would do that. But
Mhm.
also number one option guys that can score whenever they want and be efficient. But they
Yeah.
do the little things right. Like they're great defenders, they rebound, um, and but like some areas are weighted higher than others for
Okay.
me in some areas. So like guys that are imperfect, like in the areas I described, like rebounding, defense. There's some guys on that list for me that are still there, but it's
Mhm.
because they're so exceptional in other areas as far as talent wise.
Yeah.
And I believe they can work around that in the right situation, that I'm not worried about the player itself.
Mhm.
So that's kind of like my basis for ranking the players that I do have.
Alright. So, yeah, just based off that, I think we're gonna have different lists in that sense, which will be good, having different perspectives.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to put that out there, but I'm ready
Okay.
to start when you are.
All right. I'm gonna throw it back to you. Why don't you kick it off with your number 25 rated player in your top
All
25?
right. This guy in the 23-24 season, he averaged 22.9 points per game, 5 assists, 5.8 rebounds, shot 57% overall, 33% from deep. He's 24 years old, and here is my quick little notes. Maybe I'll just go with that next time. Unstoppable going to the rim, the modern round mound of paint scoring, great playmaker, okay shooter, some defense, and last thing was please stay on the court. Who do you think it is?
It's got to be Zion.
Yeah. Um, just yeah. I mean, I feel like if he would be so much higher on this. Not so much higher, but he would definitely be higher on this list if he could actually like play on the court in meaningful moments. I mean, that I still think they would have gotten beat by the Thunder in that first round, but it would have been a much more difficult time with. I think he could just bully Chet a little bit, so he definitely adds an element to that team, and if he like would develop and be healthy more consistently, could be a best player on a championship team. I think at this point, from what we've seen. So yeah.
I think your ranking's fair of him.
Mm.
They're not looking to your other players. Um, yeah, it's one of those situations where like as a number one pick, you're expected to be in
hmm
this area of like the elite players, and the fact that he's finally been able to put it together has given me confidence that he can continue to do that. So then it's just a matter of like, can he stack them together? And like you
Yeah.
said, can he be on the court?
That's
Like,
it.
and the only worry I have with him is the injury history,
hmm
because there's some stuff you can do within his control, um, but like on the court to like avoid like stress on the bones and like how he lands. It's Zion. You gotta be careful. So it's like that's the only worry that I have to his game. Very explosive player.
Yeah.
I worry when he starts to hit 29 and 30
hmm
if he's going to be able to remodel his game to account for the loss and like the freakish athletic traits he has. Because right now he could probably keep this up for another 3-4 years. But at age 28 and 29, he's got to prepare for the fact that he's probably not going to be the same player that he is right now. So um, that's kind of a source of pride for players. That's going to be
hmm
a hard pill to swallow when that time comes. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm rooting for Zion. Like his comeback story last season has been incredible. It's a roller
hmm
coaster of a story, and I'm glad he came out of it on the other side a better player before he got hurt. Now it's just like, can you avoid the injury bug
Yeah.
for serious injuries that keep you out for extended period of time? That's going to be the
Mhm.
big thing with him.
Yeah, and I mean, he led the Pelicans. I don't know if it was. I feel like it was last year, but I could be wrong. One of these years, he's led the Pelicans to be a number one seed at one point, playing some great basketball. So like we know what he can do, and like we said, it's just staying on the court. So yeah,
Yeah, the guy I have at number 25 for me is not actually a number one option, um, which I know is kind of like different from your criteria, but he's
yeah,
a very good close guy to that. This guy he's a former top 10 pick,
okay,
um, 6'8", 220 pounds, averaged
hmm
about 22.6 points per game, 5.2 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and his field goal percentage was 47.1. So they're all like not eye-popping numbers here, but they're like it's not indicative of the player for me. He is, and he and another player have this in common, but he's a smooth operator. That's
okay,
my nickname for him. Very smooth operator.
yeah,
I just enjoy watching the way he handles the ball, and he always makes the right play. Everything doesn't seem like he's stressed, no matter what the
hmm
defense does to him. Um, this is also a guy who gave up like a half court bomb to one of my favorite players
yeah,
to end the game. It's Paul George, new
Mm,
76ers wing. I I think he has regressed in some means. He'd be definitely higher on my list in previous years, but I still think he has what it takes and is the missing piece for what the 76ers need to reach the finals. I think everything he does on the court is like the perfect complement to what
hmm
you want for a guy on both sides of the ball. Um, I'm bummed that him and Kawhi weren't able to figure it out with the Clippers,
Yeah.
but I think the talent of this player is not going away, despite
Mm,
how old is he now?
34.
Um, 34. And
Yeah.
despite being 34, I think this he has a game that will translate and
Oh
still
yeah.
consider top 25.
No, he's a great player. Yeah, I love like what you said about him. He's just a smooth operator, a guy that another thing I love about him, he's a two-way guy. Definitely great defender, and he's gonna be made use of on that 76ers team, being able to clamp down, and especially with being, you could even say the third guy on that team, he's gonna have a lot of opportunities this year, and possibly with Embiid getting more rest to prioritize more being ready for the playoffs instead of MVP chasing. Like he could have moments where he is the guy possibly in that fourth quarter when it matters most. So that's interesting. It'll be interesting to see. I
And
like.
he's had playoff like situations where he's had to be the number one option. So
Yeah,
he can still
Pacers.
do that. And that allows like Maxi to be
hmm
the ideal complement to either
Yeah.
George or Embiid. This is like a picture perfect fit. And um, I think just the flexibility Paul George allows you to do as a
hmm
coach and a team and teammates is why like I have to have him.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing to do with the stats because the stats don't pop off the
No,
wall,
they don't.
but it's when you put the puzzle piece in to this entire picture here. He he doesn't try to do too much outside of himself, but he's
hmm
also shown moments where he can be that. And he's had a heck of a career arc from being the number
Yeah.
one option on that Pacers team to like jumping and having experience in OKC, then with the Clippers, then now
hmm
here. He's jumped around a couple spots and he knows what he is as a player and he doesn't try to go too far extreme where it's gonna hurt the team.
Yeah. I'd say he was also was he top? He was for sure top three or even second in MVP voting. I think in 2019. Uh, in his best year on that Thunder team. So he definitely was doing something. And yeah, no, I like it, and I hope this is a chance for him to kind of not avenge himself because in the 2021 playoffs he really did that and showed that yeah, like pandemic P happened, whatever, and now he came back. But I don't know, to possibly do a little bit more in an easier conference than he's been in since what, like 7 years. So we'll see. I'm excited.
All right, go ahead and give us your number 24 guy.
All right, number 24. This guy's 27. Averaged 23 points a game last year on 2 assists, 8.2 rebounds. Spiel I had about him: true 7 foot sniper, size to be good on defense, can be a dominant player in the right environment. And that, I don't really have any other info. Yeah. And that, my friends, describes number 24 on the Jazz, Utah, Lauri Markkanen. So I kind of had him really high just because I don't know. I really like his ability of like he definitely isn't like KD at this point in terms of shooting and whatnot, but he gives that vibe of like a really tall player, a true 7 footer that can shoot, kind of has plays run for him. And I think if he could handle the ball, he could really do something like that to be one of the best players on a championship team. So that's why I kind of like him. I love his career arc as well because I mean, on the Bulls where he got drafted, he was okay. Like you saw flashes and it was interesting. Then he played on the Cavs where he was the three as a 7 footer, and then gets traded to Utah and part of the Donovan Mitchell trade, and has really made a name for himself. And even in the contract he signed, I think yesterday, yeah, like he just signed a huge contract that he can't be traded this year, and will possibly be part of a big splash next offseason. So interesting career arc. He is 27, which kind of makes you wonder, well, where he would go. It'd have to be kind of the right timeline for him, but yeah, and just an interesting guy that I really like. Um, yeah, it's just about it.
He's a guy that flies under the radar because of Utah as a team.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Um, and he's a guy I definitely sorely missed.
Yeah.
Because one of those classic Bulls guys that they trade away at the
Hmm.
time the second contract comes in because they're trying to rebuild again.
Yeah.
And it's like when he had success elsewhere, you're like, oh man, of
Nice.
course.
Yeah.
But he had a great year last year. Um,
Hmm.
the thing with me, he didn't make my list,
Yeah.
but I appreciate how you brought up his career arc because at the time when the Bulls moved him, he wasn't a great defender at all.
Yeah.
But if you look at him now with the Jazz, like he's getting they're not like eye popping numbers, but like he's getting a block or steal like every other game or every
Hmm.
game for like steals per se. He
Yeah.
is active on the defensive end. He's not a liability there. The one aspect of his game that I would like to see him improve on is the assist numbers. I
Hmm.
think
Yeah.
that
Too as
assist
well.
number is too low for my liking, given on how much he's touching the ball. Um, he has an opportunity to play make, and I think that would help elevate the team around him even more. So if he
Hmm.
does that, he has room to grow. Um, he has plenty of guys to look and model his game after in that respect, particularly Jokic. I think
Yeah.
Jokic and Markkanen play similar roles, but I think if Markkanen can play like Jokic as a passer, which is very hard, like not to that
Yeah.
degree, probably 60% of Jokic,
Hmm.
he could be a dangerous, dangerous player, for sure. Because that to me screams he knows when to give up the ball when the teams are focusing on him as a number one option, and that matters a ton. So that's the one thing I would look at for him.
Yeah. Yeah. And last thing I want to say is, even though he did sign his contract and you don't think him staying in Utah could be a long term thing. At least that's what I think. This could be a big year to kind of his value. If the Jazz really make him look really good, they can get a good haul for him. And I think in both ways, both sides, both parties, marketing and the Jazz are down to do that. So we'll see how good they are. They have a lot of young guys. I mean, they just got Isaiah Collier. You still have Keontae George, Taylor Hendricks. So it'll be an interesting season for the Jazz. And now they have normal jerseys. Thank God. I hated the last year's jerseys. But let's move on. I'll talk about that for hours, and that's not worth it.
I hear you, man. I mean, that wouldn't be the one thing I would point to. I'd probably point to the courts during the in-season tournament
Yeah.
that they had. That was wild, but I got you. Um, the one the one player I'm going to mention here for number 24, um, he broke out technically last year. I
Mhm.
think this year he continued like his efficiency, which I really really enjoy seeing. He had 26.6 points per game on average, 4.6 rebounds, 5.6 assists, 46 and a half field goal percentage overall. Um, when I look at him, those stats again don't pop off the tape,
Mhm.
but it's the speed. It's the
Yeah.
speed at which he plays at, running the break.
Mhm.
When his entire team modeled after his best attributes, you saw how good this team was. Um, he's also a player that was made fun of by Luka Doncic in the All Star game. Look at
Mhm.
me. Look at me. I'm
Oh,
De'Aaron Fox. He is
yeah.
my number 24 guy. Um, I really love watching him play on offense. I think more players should play at the rate he does. And his 3 point efficiency has really impressed me a lot because teams look at his body type and it's like, oh man, he's so fast, he's so
Mhm.
explosive. I wonder what happens if we just let him sit still for a minute. Think about what the defense is doing. Slow him down and then have him shoot. Let's see what happens. And and to his credit, he's improved on that game year after year after year. Where it's
Mhm.
like now you can't leave him open from three at all. So
Yeah.
now, like he is virtually unstoppable as this insanely fast and quick player who can also shoot it from three. He can get any shot he wants at
Mhm.
any time. For me, he just has to continue to build on that and be more involved as like an interior defender, which is why he's not higher on my list. I
Yeah.
get it. It's not in his calling card as a point guard, but especially in this like positionless basketball, like he
Mhm.
has the wingspan to get 3 or 4 steals a game. He's done it.
Yeah.
Now it's like using that wingspan to be a great defender and like really steer point guards away from driving at him when they don't want to try and drive around him because he's just going to get the steal. So it's kind of he's a very quick and insane player,
Hmm.
but the one thing he's missing is the interior defense and the toughness at that. If he adds that to his game, he shoots up top 15 for me.
Yeah. No, that's I could definitely see that. I feel kind of bad that I didn't put him on there. I kind of forgot. Additionally, if was it, it might have been last year. He was also like clutch player of the year, like in contention for that. So he's definitely a great player. I think I kind of discounted him in the fact that he is. It's between him and Sabonis who really is the best player on this team on the Kings. Um, so that's why I was kind of unsure about that. But no, I definitely didn't think how his 3-point shot has definitely got a lot better recently. So that might be a flop on my end, but no, I like him as well. Favorite memory I have of him is when he had like a 2K card at one point on my team, and I caught them, and you're just like spazzing around, just like going around everyone because he has like 99 speed already, like super early in the game. So he's a great player, and excited to
He's a
see.
really fun 2K player to
Yeah,
play with.
yeah, just super twitchy, man. Given like John Wall, prime Westbrook vibes. Like like that one video of Wall where he like throws the ball at the rim and he starts running after it and he like catches his own alley oop from like 3/4 court. Like that's some type of thing that like Fox would do, the Aaron would do. So yeah, I like it.
Okay. Number 23, LeBron's number.
Yep,
Old number, I should say.
true. But number 23, not that number 23, but someone who was 23 at some point, age and number wise. This guy averaged 20.8 points per game last year, 5 assists, 5.3 rebounds, shot 49.9% and 41% from D. Very surprising, in my opinion. He's age 34. That's his age at this moment. And my description is two-way demon, actually demon. Will not be at work. Definition of, I'm not going to say the rest of that. That'll just give it away. Will make a shot when needed, but not at any other time. Mid-range monster. Any thoughts? It is Jimmy Butler.
I thought you were gonna say AD. I was like, oh, are you really gonna say AD at 23? But
Nah.
um, I respect it. I like the pick. I like the pick a lot.
Yeah.
Um, I think you might be too low on Jimmy Butler, but again, it's when coming up with this list, you're like, who I don't know who to leave off, and I don't know where
Yeah.
to rank these players because they're just so close to each
Mm-hmm.
other. I love Jimmy Butler's game as well. I love like how hard nosed and tough he is, and always willing to take the first assignment.
Yep.
He's never a mismatch, even on a guy that's like
Yeah.
twice his size.
Mm-hmm.
Like, um,
Strong as
like
well.
he try to post that guy up. I dare you.
Yeah.
I dare you. You like if you just see Jimmy Butler playing pickup, and for some reason you're just like this big center,
Mm-hmm.
and you've been like posting up every guard on your way, and you're just like, oh, let me just post up Jimmy. Let me
It's
know how
not
that goes for you
working.
because I don't think that's gonna go well.
No.
So that's the one thing I appreciate about him.
Mm-hmm. Infinite hustle. I was gonna say definition of heat culture, but that would have obviously made it too obvious. Um,
I don't
and
think
yeah,
so.
that's true, I guess. But I guess additionally, he was kind of in this role in 2020, playing in the bubble, literally carrying a team. We've all seen that meme of him on the like stanchion next to the rim or the hoop or whatever. And he's just like super tired because he's literally carrying the heat all the way in that. And yeah, I mean, just makes timely shots and sometimes just doesn't make shots. That's why I was surprised he shot 41% from deep. I bet the frequency is really low, but he's he's a great guy, and it just feels like when he really wants to score, you can't stop him from scoring. But sometimes he just like doesn't want to score that bad. I don't know. Like I said in that 2023, yeah, in that 2023 run, also on that year, I completely forgot about that. But anyway, um, in that 2023 run, it just made no sense how he was so good and how Jimmy Butler's just making all these shots. So yeah, it's a
I
good,
think those playoffs and then the NBA Finals against the Lakers
yeah,
were just exceptional Jimmy Butler. Like that's just
Brian.
like that was like peak Jimmy Butler. Like wow, like why can't he play like this 24/7? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's within the realm of possibility. But he's like
Yeah.
such a team player that like you're never gonna see that like if they're clearly like if the other opponent's like overmatched against them because
Mm-hmm.
like he'll just let Tyler Hero and like Bam be Bam.
Yeah.
So like hey, I like the pick. Not where I had him, but I respect it a lot. Um,
Yeah.
my
Yep.
guy here is I just this is a guy I just love watching in general. There are some areas in his game where I notice he could clean up a little bit to raise the ceiling of his team. He
Mm-hmm.
has been in trade talks ever
Okay.
since they've had a disappointing exit from the playoffs this year. Averaged about 26.6 points per game, 5 rebounds, about 6 assists, and 46.2% from field goal range. Um, He's the guard out of Louisville who had great
Mm-hmm.
bouts against Jamal Murray when he was on the
Oh.
Jazz. It is Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
I have him at
Yeah.
23 over here. I
Okay.
just love the effort and intensity he plays on the offensive end and how he's just like stone cold and also
Yeah.
has calming presence. Love his free throw routine where he just takes a deep breath, closes his eyes, blows out air, and then sinks them like it's nothing. I love how he has no fear
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever of anybody or matchups. And one of the favorite playoff series between guards I'd love to see is him versus Jamal Murray in that series.
Yeah.
I think it was during COVID when they played.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been in the bubble or maybe the
It
year after.
was. No, it was in
But
the bubble.
yeah, that's been like those are just like a classic game between two teams where I have no interest in, where I just like watching basketball.
Yeah.
And the way these two went at each other has been my favorite. But like back to Mitchell, the
Mm-hmm.
one, the one reason he's not higher on this list for me is because I feel at times he since he knows he's the best player on the team, he tries to be hero ball.
Okay.
Where
Yeah.
it's like you have all this young talent assembled around you. I feel like as a point guard, he needs to be more of a point guard where he sets guys up on like scripted plays
Mm-hmm.
to take advantage of matchups and whatnot. And the one reason I say this is I've seen games without Donovan Mitchell being
Yeah.
played where like Evan Mobley is dominating and like
Mm-hmm.
Darius Garland goes on a heater. And like Jared Allen, when he was playing, he was been dominant on both ends. He was like getting double doubles every single playoff game.
Yeah.
If you make a conscious effort as a point guard to get these guys touches and opportunities to get better as the game goes on, that's going to bump you up to flirting with double double every night as from stats wise. But that's you elevating your team
Mm-hmm.
because you know when to get guys the ball and when to maximize their talents. And you make it easier on yourself to get the shots you want and to be dominant and to be efficient in the way you are. You can get your shot at any time. But like
Yeah.
the one thing he needs to work on his game is like elevating their young talent now because the Taz have a ton of young talent on that team.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not long ago where everybody was crazy about them because they had the 2 seed
Yeah.
last year or
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. I like the pick as well. Only thing I would say is I feel like he's more of a shooting guard, but the fact that the amount he has the ball and his size makes you want him to be a point guard. But then that gets you in the whole debate we've had multiple times of is Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell the move? Is that like something that's gonna work? And as of right now, Donovan Mitchell has signed his extension, Mobley, Allen, but not Darius Garland. Even though I don't think he has to now, but it just makes you
And
wonder what.
I think part of that's Donovan Mitchell's fault because you're the leader on the team.
Mhm.
You need to give Darius Garland a concerted effort of touches for
Yeah.
him to be effective, for him to get in a rhythm, for him to put up stats and stuff. Because
Hmm.
yeah, Darius needs to work on like his game and take ownership and responsibility for that to maximize the efficiency of his touches. But Darius, like Donovan, make the game easy for the other guys. Like I
Yeah.
feel like if he does more, and I'm not trying to, I put him on the top 25 list. Okay,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
not. It's a very minute criticism of just like
No.
watching like the way this team ebbed and flowed from like the second half of the season to the playoffs. A lot of these conversations on like can Donovan Mitchell and like Darius Garland coexist
Yeah.
come from. the best player on the team, just trying to be a little bit unselfish. He is an unselfish player, but be a little bit more,
Hmm.
especially on this situation. It reminds me a lot of like the Derrick Rose and Jimmy Butler talks
Yeah.
and the Gobert and Towns talks last year.
Hmm.
There are ways to look like to make an incomplete puzzle piece a puzzle piece that fits within the rest of the puzzle. Get creative and make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree. Other situation that could be brought up is Suns with like Booker, Beal, and Durant. Like none of
100%.
them are point guards, but then they try to make Devin
And the
Booker point
Nets,
guard.
and the Nets with
Yeah.
Kyrie, Harden, and Durant. Yeah,
So I mean, in that sense, Harden became more of a point guard, and that worked for him, and that was fine. But like in the Suns, it didn't really work. That's why they just got oh man, Tyus Jones. They got Tyus Jones, Monte Morris. They have some actual point guards coming in. So it's like, do we make Donovan Mitchell more of a point guard? You make Darius Garland more of a shooter, whatnot. Like, it's just figuring that out, and I hope Kenny Atkinson can do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yep. So my number 22, averaging 19.4 points a game, 8.2 assists, 13.7 rebounds. Jeez. Somehow shot 37.9% from deep. He's 28 years old, and my description is a triple double machine, as you can tell from the stats. Strong as an ox, okay defender, a bit undersized at center, and can't shoot, although the stats say otherwise. This is, at 22, which is double his number, Domantas Sabonis. Now, I will say, I kind of didn't really like Sabonis during the season. I don't know. I just feel like I don't know how to describe it. Like he gets triple doubles and he plays well for his team, but I'm not really convinced in his play in that sense. But I do understand that he is again in contention on last year's Kings team as the best player on the team, and just his offensive ability of how it feels like he's just kind of like a mini Jokic, like like an actual baby Jokic, like not he's not as good as Jokic, but he's like kind of like a parody of Jokic. And I think just the biggest thing for him is that he's just not that great of a defender. He's a bit undersized, although he's 6'10", but like Bam Adebayo is also 6'10". He's a great defender, so it makes you wonder a little bit what goes on there. But I think in a perfect situation, which might not have been the case originally with Fox, who at the beginning couldn't shoot and whatnot, um, we haven't really seen what a team optimized just for him could be. Because I know there's a bit of time there where they're deciding, and we might not even see it anymore because DeMar is going to be there as well. We'll see. So yeah, I just really like I like his ability to just rack up stats. I think that's the biggest thing there.
I think for me, I disagree on the defending part because I
Yeah.
think I've seen a step forward with that from steals. Like every time I
Oh.
watch him play, like he's taking one or two steals like coast to coast.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is rare for a power forward to be able to do that, and I think he's made a concerted effort to do that. Um, I really respected how when they faced the Warriors the year before this year,
Yeah.
like how he was not afraid of Green
Mm-hmm.
and like trying to get under his grill and whatnot, and how he made a concerted effort to work on his game. It was very heartwarming to see the way they performed against the Warriors in the playing game this year. It
Yeah.
shows they're taking progressive steps forward as a team. But I think the up and down nature has been something that can be concerned about. What's a bonus? I think the thing that made him so dominant in Indiana was just his paint presence.
Yeah.
If he makes that more of a factor itself, now you can open up these two-man games where you have De'Aaron Fox cutting backdoor.
Mm-hmm.
That is a scary sight that you do not
And
want to deal with. And that is a can you can open if you get Sabonis more opportunities in the block and get like Malik Monk wide open threes on the backside, cutting De'Aaron Fox, speed from like other areas. So I think
mhm.
he's the type of player that you can kind of throw a changeup far as the tempo of your offense,
Yeah.
but can also play unselfishly and run an offense on his own. So I like the pick. I don't recall if I had him on my list for this particular like top 25 discussion, but
Yeah.
I appreciate what he does and how much of a factor he is on the Kings.
Yeah. I think the big thing is playing with DeRozan next year. We'll see how that goes. It should be good, obviously. And post game, I didn't talk about that at all. He's a really good post game. So
Oh, I thought you were talking about interviews for a second.
no,
I
no,
was like totally out of
like
it.
his back to the basket.
Yeah,
He definitely got that hook
he's
shot
got
on
a
lock.
great. He's got to do more of that
Yeah,
because like he's such a weapon from multiple areas of the court. In fact, from like top of the key, elbow.
hmm,
He's got a great mid-range jumper as well. Like
yeah,
he can score in
floaters.
multiple ways. I think with the Kings' unique style of play, they have more opportunities they can work with as far as possessions.
Yeah.
And I think maximizing that for Sabonis is going to be the new way forward.
Hmm. Um, I guess fun fact is that I just don't think he looks at all like his dad. That's it.
I don't know what his dad looks like, so I don't even know how to respond to that.
Yeah, his dad
This
was
shows how much of NBA I've watched.
Arvydas Sabonis. He played on the Blazers. I think they're Lithuanian, so he played when they were still part of the USSR. He was really big in the Olympics at those times, which was super long ago. But anyway, we can move on. Let's get off it.
Oh yeah, he does not. He does
Yeah,
not.
right.
Yeah,
He's just
he
a weird
totally doesn't.
face. He's got like a super wide, or Domantas has a super wide face. I don't know that like has nothing to do with
Very important
basketball.
basketball trait to have there. Yeah.
Yeah.
My guy is kind of a breakout player. First
Okay.
introductions to top 25, really. If he did this year to year, um, he's a guy that's had it figured out
Mm-hmm.
in mid-November when they were making a run in the in-season tournament. Had some injuries that he's dealt with,
Mm.
so was struggling a little bit. And then found it when he needed most, and he was kind of the catalyst for how well this team performed toward the end of the postseason.
Yep.
Uh, it was everybody's Cinderella. And the Indiana Pacers, it's Tyrese Haliburton. Um, Now, you're probably asking them, why do I have him higher than Donovan Mitchell? And why do I have him higher than De'Aaron Fox and Paul George when his stats are 20.1 points per game, 3.9 rebounds, and 10.9 assists? I think I think there's a ceiling to be had going into this year. So I'm
Yeah.
not just considering like what he's done, but also
Mm-hmm.
going into this year what I think he can do as well. And I look at the fact that he's capable of hitting 5 threes in a game multiple times at any area of the court
Yeah.
and have a double double on a nightly basis, oftentimes hitting like 12 to 13 assists.
No.
Like that
Yeah.
is rare for a player to flirt with. And um, to me, that just screams like ideal point guard on the way. Um, One thing that he could work on in his game that I'd like to see more of is the blocks and steals because in the regular season, he had zero point 0.7 to 1.2. In the
Mm-hmm.
postseason, that didn't really change at all. But you want to see more of that because of his body type. He's not a prototypical point guard. He is a tall guy.
Six
He
five.
plays taller than 6'5", and that's very hard to say because he's like that 6'5" is really tall for a point guard.
Mm-hmm.
Has a great wingspan, and he's younger than me. He's 24. Like
Yeah.
I'm 24 too, but I'm turning 25 in December. He's turning 25 in February. This guy has an insane ceiling to work with as well. So I'm just excited about his prospects. I think he's on the up and up. He's most likely going to be in my top 20 or top 15 for sure. If not higher than that, going into next season, he's just got to add another year of consistency.
Yeah. Other thing I think I like for him to improve on is just aggression. I know in some games, uh, he was too like focused on getting his teammates involved, and obviously that's part of your thinking if you're averaging almost 11 assists a night. But
There's a
yeah,
balance between both, though. You're
mhm.
100% right.
I think he already has that intangible of court vision and feel that you hope other guys have, and they don't. But he already has that, and like all he needs to do is just be more aggressive. That's something he can completely control. It's not something like yeah, you can learn it, but you can learn it. Like it's not unattainable uh with practice. Yes. So no, I like that. I have him a bit higher up. I guess the funniest thing on mine is that I have that he has a wacky shot, which is it just looks kind of wacky. It doesn't make sense, but it works. So we don't have to question it.
Okay. Is he your top 21 player?
No, he's
Okay.
higher.
Oh, okay. I'm too low on him. I see.
Yeah, you just hate Tyrese.
It's because he's in the same division as the Bulls. That's
Yeah,
why.
I guess that
It's
makes
the real
sense.
reason.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, I definitely like him, except when I love when we played. I think it might have been last year as well. Yeah, it was like the end of 22, 23 when he was getting some crazy dimes, and then Luca was just like, "I'll do you one better," and from one corner of the court, he just dots it across to the other corner, like under the basket,
Oh, I remember that. I
like a
remember that.
pitch,
That
like
was
a baseball
insane.
pitch. So as long as he knows his position behind Luca in terms of point guards, I'm fine. Anyway, um, so yeah, we can go to 21 if you're ready.
Who's 21? Are you?
I have a man. That's it. No, I'm kidding. He averaged 24 points, 5.3 assists, 5.6 rebounds. No, wait, I can't read. 5.3 assists, 4.3 rebounds. Shot 33% from the 3-point line, 34 years old, years of age. Clutch mid range shooter, neutral defender. You trust this man. Who is he? He is DeMar DeRozan. Now, honestly, when I reread this list and I was like, why is DeMar DeRozan here? And then I remembered that stretch from like, I don't know, might have been New Year's of 22 to like January 3rd, where my man makes two like game winning shots from like, I think both of them were threes, one against the Pacers, and like two, just like the way this man, especially this year as well, when they were in really close games. I mean, they came back against the Kings in one of the games this year. Just a guy that if he's on my team and we need to make a shot, it's just going straight to him. I don't care whatever he does. I'm fine with it because this man is a just clutch shot maker. Love the mid range. I really love again his career arc from being kind of like this. The he was kind of the best guy on those Raptors teams. You could debate with Lauri. Then gets sent to purgatory on the Spurs for a minute. Plays with LaMarcus Aldridge. Has a fun time. No one really cares, unfortunately. And then he really pops off here in Chicago these past few years with when it's kind of his team. I mean, Levine's in and out a little bit. He kind of has to take over, be that adult in the room, and he does it well. And yeah, no, I love him. So kind of put him here. Yeah,
And this is one of those guys where I felt terrible I didn't keep him on the top 25.
yeah,
I don't have him there. I don't have him in
yeah.
the top 25. And it's like when I'm looking at these players and I'm like, why don't I have DeMar? Why don't I
Hmm.
have Zach Levine? Like, it is.
Zach Levine's different though.
But the thing is, with DeMar, he's amazing.
Hmm.
Mid-range assassin. He can
Yeah.
get a shot wherever he wants. He's such a clutch player. I love having the ball in his hands in the fourth quarter. Um, and it was completely different because I remember when he was on the Raptors and whenever he'd go against the Bulls with Jimmy Butler and D Rose, it was the opposite. Like Jimmy Butler
Yeah.
was living the close moments. He was locking DeMar DeRozan. Just to see the improvement in how DeMar has been from when he was in Toronto to
Hmm.
how he is now, like nobody can guard him. And
Yeah.
especially with these rules now, it's very difficult. I think the one thing in my favor is his pace of play is very limiting
Hmm.
because it
Bit slow.
requires for him to be the number one option or the secondary option.
Hmm.
Now, I don't think it'll be a problem when he's on the Kings now because I think he brings a different change up along with Sabonis that the Kings need to utilize more into different places of play, more half court offense. Like that's a very valuable skill you need in the playoffs. But for me, for like DeMar, just as a talent, if he plays at a faster pace more often,
Yeah.
I think that can make a lot of his shots a lot more easier
Hmm.
than like trying to do like a contested turnaround
Yeah.
mid range, like over Drake defense. Like not that he can't do it, he's still doing it at 33 and
Yeah.
34. But making the game easier, increasing the pace of play, um, that's the one thing I would look at him. And then probably what were his assist numbers too? Uh,
4 point, no, 5.3.
that's actually that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's
Not
pretty
bad.
good. Yeah, not
Yeah.
not not bad at all. I thought it was lower than that, but
Hmm.
um, yeah, I mean, it's probably just the pace for play, and then probably the defense. Like for
Yeah.
a wing defender, you probably hope he get more blocks and steals,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, well, what he does in the court,
Right.
it is valuable to have.
No, definitely. Um, I would just say, oh, this just popped into my mind while you were talking about this. He got traded from the Raptors to the Spurs 6 years ago. That to me feels like it was 5,000 eons ago. Like
Yeah,
that
because
was
he was a completely different player.
yeah. So
He
he's
was a
grown a
complete,
lot in 6 years. That's awesome. That's great for him. I'm
yeah,
happy. I'm happy about that now. But just time has flown for him and us. So
yeah.
yeah.
We're not that old yet, Diego. I can still fly by people, but
That's
all
cool.
right. Last guy of the day,
Hmm.
my number 21 guy. Um, he's a different player on the same team that you had talked about earlier. Um, but I kept him on this list. His stats are really, really good. Like he has the best field goal percentage out of the guys I mentioned
Okay.
beforehand. Maybe part of it's the position he plays, but 52.1 field goal percentage,
Okay.
19.3 points per game, averaged a double double this year, 10.4 rebounds, 3.9 assists, which doesn't look anything crazy, but when I reveal his position, um, it's it's kind of crazy because
Yeah.
he has games where he has 5 and 6 assists, especially in high leverage moments.
Hmm.
Um, and he's had games where he's had 17 rebounds before.
Yeah.
Um, my guy here, Bam Adebayo, center for Miami Heat. I
Yeah.
knew I would get a reaction out of that one. Um, I I love playing with him in 2K. Very important note here, just because like
Yeah.
he's just a defender you don't really pick on defense. You're really just picking like Wemby if you have the newer versions, or like Anthony Davis,
Hmm.
just to get like
Size.
crazy hacks on like
Yeah.
2K Black Top, especially if I'm going against my brother. But like he's a guy that's just a savvy defender. He might be the smartest defender at the
Hmm.
center position.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot, like depending on how you see Draymond and AD. But I
Hmm.
think Bam is very he plays like a guard on defense, which
Yeah.
is a trait that's needed a lot more. He is the one center I trust to go on an island with Steph Curry. And I don't
Hmm.
trust any other center outside of that.
Almost no one.
Yeah. And I think that skill alone, and plus his dominance in the paint and the mid range, like you have to have him on this list because like he has a clear impact on the game. If he keeps those assist numbers up and like gets those block numbers up to reflect how impactful he is on the defense, another guy that can climb up the list quickly for me.
Oh yeah. Um. Things I would say about him. Yeah. I love his offense. The way he's kind of like a hub. Uh. And I love the way that he's kind of just a dude drafted by the Heat, and that he wasn't like a second round or undrafted guy, but he was not very known, and they've really developed him into something that he's kind of I don't want to say the talk of the town, but he's someone that any team would love to have, and
I think he was
especially
just outside the lottery or at the end of the lottery
okay,
when he was drafted in 2017, and he's coming from Kentucky, man.
yeah,
He's
okay,
27 now.
then I was spreading misinformation, but anyway, um, I guess
How
especially
could
with
you,
these
Diego?
Olympics, I've like I've seen that like the biggest complaint I'd have of him was that he wouldn't be able to shoot, and like Dwayne Wade being like, anytime he makes a three, I'm gonna call him Bamonte because that's his like full name, I guess. And he's been doing that. So I mean, like we said, what is he 20, 28, 27, 28?
27 right now. Yep.
Okay, yeah, I can't read. Um, so he still has time to grow, and I feel like especially if he gets that shot offensively, it's another sort of baby Jokic type of player, and it's very very nice. I like him, and I love his defense. I don't want to say I don't wish he was on the Heat because I don't know the whole like I've said, the Heat culture confuses me how they're good and whatnot. But it also feels like I don't know where they're going, and I wish he was on a team where I knew like he would have a lot more chances of like taking bites at the apple of like possibly contending and whatnot. Which Heat fans might be like, Diego, we're like really good, and like I get that, but
Dude, just in the
I mean,
finals 2 years ago, man.
yeah, but I don't know. I don't want to say that was a fluke, but also just like they didn't they didn't get that far this year. I don't know. They also didn't have Jimmy Butler, so yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, I like Bam Adebayo, and I wish he would be in better positions. Although he could be like this, things could happen. I don't know. So yeah, I like your pick.
Thanks. Alrighty, guys. That wraps up 21 to 25. Stay tuned for next week. We'll cover 15 through 19. Oh,
Yep.
sorry, 15, 16 through 20.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
can't count. Can't count. But
It's okay.
um, we'll. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what the list will look like at the very end here. I'll
Mhm.
try and clip up different players if you didn't get a chance to watch the full video and just want to hear like short snippets of what we thought of the different players. But until then, cheers, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah. See you guys.